Yes, indeed, folks, listen to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, Total Biscuit. Oh, God. My sinus is getting worse. I've got this appointment to go and literally get my nose cut open. I'm going to be in there for quite some time getting that done. General anesthetic, that'll be the first time I've ever had that, so that'll be interesting. But whatever the case, I must apologise for any issues with the whole nasal thing going on. Like, oh, I sound like a supermarket trolley attendant now over an intercom.
Total Biscuit, turn to fruit aisle. Fruit aisle 5, Total Biscuit, spillage.
Oh, God. Ugh. Horrible. So very horrible. Right, okay. So, your words and talents. A lot of things about that. And that will give us the opportunity to talk a little bit more about the way that they're structuring talents. Right. Hunter talent trees. Okay, guys, seriously. If you're going to send me a message, at least do more than one line. I mean, what use is this? It seems as the hunters are very imbalanced, as in which one to take. Looks like BM is the main DPS spec as it is, the other ones are obsolete. I need a bit more than that. I don't even know what that means. I'm not a hunter. You've got to explain to me why you think that. Let's see if we've got a better email than that. A multi-tier rating, blah, 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 blah. Incidentally, you can also email in for the Cataclysm Q&A. I will give you as many answers as I can. I'll get into game and do all that good stuff. So, yeah. Send me those questions. Same way, just name it Cataclysm Q&A, and we'll do answers towards the end of the show. There is indeed a Q&A session tonight, as always, after Blue Please. Blizzard, you do this on purpose every time. You know what? I'm going to screw you over, and I'm going to move my show to Saturday. And if you then move your Q&A to Saturday, I'll know something's up. I know they listen to this show. Blizzard, I know you're listening, and I know what you're doing. I will not be fooled by your nonsense. You know this show? It's number 1 on iTunes right now. You got to pay attention. Yes, indeed. So stop moving your Q&As. I know you're afraid of having them torn apart, but quit it. I would quite like the show content. That would be nice. I'll do a bonus show. Yeah. You know what? Screw it. Bonus show tomorrow. Up yours, Blizzard. It's the Saturday Slaughter, as I'm calling it. Blue Please Saturday Slaughter tomorrow, same time, Blizzard Q&A. Right there. Eat it. Okay. Let's have a look at the other stuff. DK talents. Right, this is good. We'll have a look at this. Right. Okay. Here's an email about the DK talents. The new Death Knight talent trees, as they currently are, worry me slightly. The Frost tree is what I'm really concerned about. Blood seems alright, and although there are a number of things, good things, I'm not a fan of the Unholy for PvP. It's not a huge deal. What I'm looking at in Frost is that Blizzard said they wanted Frost to be the dual-wield spec for Death Knights, and yet the two-hander talent far surpasses the threat of Thurazin dual-wield talent. TOT would be fine if we were able to still get Necrosis and Blood-Caked Blades, but we can no longer get Necrosis, period, with the lack of usable talents, and getting Blood-Caked Blades makes it so you can't get Epidemic or Spell Hit from Unholy. Another stupid thing they've set up is the fact that we have to take Hungering Cold, which is a worthless lol freeze everything around you that breaks once you do damage, to get Howling Blast. Right, well, bear in mind that they did say that the Death Knight talents weren't all that far along, and that was problematic. But yeah, this is the kind of thing that you need to be submitting to Blizzard and saying, look, this is what's bad about the actual talent trees themselves. This is the issue, this is the problem that we're now having to deal with. This is what they need to know. So by all means, post on the forums and say, look, there must be posts already for talent discussion. Go say, look, this is what's wrong with it, blah, 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 this is how you can fix it. That sounds to me like a lot of that could be fixed simply by moving stuff around. I mean, let me have a look at the talent calculators. I'm going to try and assess DK talents. This is a bad idea. Right, where's this Blood-Caked Blades nonsense you were talking about? Never played a DK past level 58. Yes, indeed. Desecration, Sudden Doom, and Plague Blue. No, it's not there. Threat of Thurazin, right. That's where Threat of Thurazin is. Okay. So, TOT would be fine if you were able to get Necrosis and Blood-Caked Blades. So, I assume Blood-Caked Blades is in the Blood Tree. you can get blood cake blades, though. Right? But, yeah, as you were saying, you miss out on Epidemic if you do that. Yeah, interesting stuff. So, if blood cake blades was a tier 1 talent, you could take it. So, instead of, say... But, this is all about... The blood tree is now the tanking tree, isn't it? So, yeah, okay. So, blood cake blades... It could go in tier 1, I suppose. You could bump one of those up there. That would make sense. But, yeah, that seems... fixable if they shuffle things around a little bit, as opposed to any actual problems with the talents in general. That's cool. Okay. Resto Druid talents. I can't really comment on the other specs. This is from Namith, who is a Resto Druid on Solidarity of the Constant on Draenor US. I can't really comment on the other specs, but I was really disappointed with the Resto Druid talents. The current tree forces you to take undesirable talents for PvE, such as reduction in spell damage taken as an example, as well as leaving you with an extra talent point with no real place to put it in. Blizzard have stated that the Druid talents are not as far along as the other classes. This is only the first pass, but this tree needs a lot of attention. Okay, well, I'm a caster, so I could probably have a look at that without sounding too dumb. Let's have a look. So, say you're a raiding tree Resto Druid, and none of the icons have popped up. That's really unhelpful. Okay. So, let's have a look at the Resto tree. This is the Resto tree. That's the tanking tree. Is this the Resto tree? Yes, there we go. So, I assume you want to take... Natural Shapeshifter, you're not going to take it. Is that Resto? What the hell? Why has Resto got this stuff in it? Right, okay, that's... Oh, No, that kind of doesn't make any sense. Right, well, Natural Shapeshifter, I guess, is okay for a Tree Druid if he had to shift out into another form, say, normal. So if he was having to do Healing Touch and major stuff like that. But as it turns out, I don't know if that's the case or not, in Cataclysm at any rate. Furor, you're not going to take that, really, are you? That's a filler talent for other specs. That's a splash talent. That's why it's in tier 1. But you can go Blessing the Grove, so that's cool. You get to have the second one. But yeah, you're right. Perseverance is a tier 2 talent. Reduces all spell damage taken by 6%. That's not all that useful for raiding, honestly. I mean, I've got a talent that does that, and I ignore it completely. Whereas you'll take 3 points in Improved Rejuvenation, which will give you Swift Mend and 50%. By the way, while I'm talking about this, may I just say, while I am talking about this, that we're going to be having someone from Restokin on next week. She goes by the name of Lysana, so maybe she can tell me this kind of stuff. We shall see. So yeah, she's going to be on the show next week, and I'm going to be... You know, a while ago I said I was going to do these interviews with people that don't suck in WoW. Well, I managed to find a few, and I'm going to bring them on. I've got the guys from Yogscast who are interested in coming on the show. I've also got the guys from Cataclysm who are interested in coming on the show. So we're going to be talking about to them and a bunch of other guys over the next few weeks and just bringing them on, having a chat. So there you go. But yeah, Lysana's going to be on. She's actually in the chat room right now, so hi to Lysana in the chat room. It'll be good stuff. Right. Anyway, let's get on with this. I'm going to make Lysana hate me by totally ruining my assessment of the Resto talent tree. So here we go. So, Nature Swiftness. Well, nobody needs Nature Swiftness. That's a terrible talent. That's the kind of thing that, as far as I'm concerned, you really need if you're a cat druid. Very important, that, for Cat Druid. So Revitalize. When your Regrowth or Life Bloom heal over time, periodically critical hit, you instantly regenerate 3% of your total mana. Well, you don't need any of that. I mean, when was the last time you saw a Tree Druid healing? That's absurd. That's not what Tree Druid is for. I mean, Cat is for fight. Tree Druid is for stand around and look like tree. Obviously. It's not for healing. It's what Healing Touch does. Back in my day, we didn't have no stinking trees, because we were the Horde. We just cut them down. If you turn into a tree in the middle of our raid, we get the bloody war song in there to deal with you. Yes, indeed. Turn you into firewood and a nice chair that I could sit my troll mage on and go, yeah, man, that bag is full. Ah, yes. Good stuff. Okay. What have we got? What have we got? Living Seed. Critically heal your target for... Yeah, okay, that's fine. That makes sense in PvE. Nature's Bounty. Increases critical chance on your regrowth, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yep, that's PvE. Fury of Storm Rage. 10% chance when you cast your Nourish or Healing Touch to cause your next Wrath spell to be instant cast. What? Tree no cast Wrath? This is incorrect. Tree gets struck by lightning, not throw it. That's bollocks. Efflorescence. You can't have a talent that I can't even pronounce. No one's going to be able to do that. So you talk to your raid leader. Okay, so class leader, what do I spec? Well, you need 3 points in Efflebleu. What was that class leader? Not so bad. Efflebleu. Oh, for God's sake, you've got people that can't even spell you in-game. They're not going to be able to cope with that. So there you go, Blizzard. That's something you need to change right now in the resto tree. Stop making complex words. Tree is DPS, neg. Swift Mend. Consumes a rejuvenation. Right, that's the same, I think. Empowered Touch. Your healing touch gains an additional 20% of your bonus healing effects, and your Nourish spell has 0% chance to See, I told you tree is for fight. Your healing touch spell gains an additional 20% of your bonus healing effects, and your Nourish spell has 0% chance to refresh the duration of your life bloom on targets. Absolutely. See, healing druids, totally useless. They even have a talent that makes them totally useless. Perfect. Natural Perfection. Critical strikes against you give the Natural Perfection effect, reducing damage taken by 3%. Stacks up to 3 times. It's PvP talent! Yes, absolutely. Although it's okay, because you don't have to take it. That's fine. You can take and possibly Swift Mend and Empowered Touch. You'll be fine. Wild Regrowth. Wild Growth, even. Yes, that's fine. Okay, we know what Wild Growth is. Empowered Rejuvenation. Alright, that's cool. And Tree of Life, which is for fight. Excellent. Oh, by the way, did you used to be able to cast Ratha's Tree? Anybody? Did you used to be able to cast Ratha's Tree? I'm fairly sure you didn't used to be able to do that. Let me check that. Maybe I'm just thinking in a weird way, but I'm fairly sure you weren't able to do that. Let's have a look at it. Tree of Life, blah, blah, blah. Tree of Life, categorize spells. Tree of Life. That's no information at all. Wowhead. Ah, it's useless. Yes. No balance spells in tree form, yes indeed. So that's a big change. And apparently, you can't stay in tree form now. It only lasts 45 seconds, so you can't be perma-tree. So now tree is for fight, but only for 45 seconds of fight. That's crazy. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, there you go. We don't need the Sarnum on the show anymore. I've given you a comprehensive look at the Druid talents. I definitely know what I'm talking about. It's great. Trust me. Right, Hunter trees. Right. What is with these Hunters and their 3-line responses? And Hunters have no staying power. A comment on the Hunter changes is that the specs when you hit about 15 to 20 points are nerfed. For example, the Survival spec has no PvE range for points 17 to 20, and it's a similar story with Marksmanship. Okay, fair enough. So that's bad. We don't want that. Talents that no longer require talents. Yes. Right, that's fair. Where else have we got? Comments on Shaman. I honestly have no idea about the Elemental Tree, but I've got a fairly firm grip on Enhancement and Restoration. And for those two, all I can say is awesome in about 30 different ways. They are way more streamlined and at the same time provide a healthy amount of freedom that was not there before. There were times when the largely confusing enhancement tree was trimmed down and sorted, and Resto finally has some real choices how you want to play. With talents that benefit healing by damaging your opponents, it also makes some of the elemental sub-specs viable. Most passive or must-have talents have been removed and put into stuff you automatically get once you picked your primary tree. That's it, isn't it? That's what they were supposed to be going for. That's what we're looking at, and that's what we're hoping to see over the next few patches in the beta, I would hope. So good, I'm glad the Shamans are getting what they want. Excellent. Let's see what someone else says about this. Okay, another opinion on Shamans. Dear host of shows, I started out as vanilla as Shaman, and at that point the talent trees, it was about up to you what you did. PvE, well, you had to be a healer, so that was Resto. Sorry, this is broken English, so I'm trying to translate. The talents were poor point for point, and that's the best thing about the new talent trees. For a Shaman in the new trees, you still get the needed talents, though I think the factoring of the spec was surely a good thing. So what he's trying to say there is that you were pigeonholed before, and now as a Shaman, you've got way more freedom. That's it, isn't it? That's what you want, surely. That's exactly what you want out of your specs. Freedom within a spec, as opposed to necessarily having to dip into other trees to get the optimum spec. Having some freedom within your spec to really muck about with things is great. So yeah, let's have more of that. Rogue talents. This is from Bacon Strip. He's in the chat room right now. Assassination. Assassination tree seems to stick to the roots of spam, mutilate, and win the fight with a couple of changes. The first tier forces you to get improved eviscerate, which is useless for Assassination Rogue at the moment. And an increased damage move that's only active after a kill, which is mostly useless for raid bosses. Yes, indeed. Now, bear in mind, they did say Assassination was not as far along, so they're going to be changing that by the looks of it. Further in the tree, you'll be forced to pick up a Backstab talent that gives 10 energy back after every use. 35% of the enemy are fine Backstab worse than Mutilate, unless Blizzard changes Backstab to make it worthwhile to use on the last 35%. The rest of the tree seems to be the same, except for the final talent, which is an improved Hunger for Blood with a 2-minute cooldown, which is a downgrade. Combat. The combat tree seems to push away from spamming Sinister Strike to Sinister Strike with a new move for the 5th combo point called Revealing Strike, which does 100% weapon damage and increases the damage of your next finishing move by 20% for 15 seconds. This new ability seems to fit anywhere in the rotation, as 15 seconds is plenty of time to get a 5-point finisher on a raid boss. Another interesting talent is Restless Blades, which reduce the cooldown of Killing Spree, Sprint, and Adrenaline Rush by 2 seconds for every combo point, making it 10 seconds after every finisher. The tree also forces you to get a utility skill, such as Improved Sprint, which gives you a 100% chance to remove a snare on use. I wonder if people are actually okay with being forced into getting a utility skill. I've always felt that stuff like that, it should be optional, and that you should be able to optimize your damage by avoiding taking what I call to be the panic button skills. They are skills that help reduce mistakes, and yet if you're a good player, you shouldn't need them anyway. It's like stuff like, why would you take Blazing Speed or Improved Blink in a PvE setting? You wouldn't, would you? So it doesn't seem to me like they should be forcing people into taking that, but hey, changes are coming. The Salty Tree seems to be interesting as it provides a raid buff that increases the raid's crit by 5%, which warriors and druids can already do unless that's been changed. The tree has also got some PvE orientation, which brings the Rupture skill back to full duration after an Eviscerate. I don't use sub-spec, so I can't really give a full perspective on it. That's good, I like that. I actually played a rogue for a while in a vanilla guild called Arcanist Belt, and I was actually spec'd into Subtlety. Actually, no, I wasn't. Was I? I was expecting a Mace Rupture, and it actually worked fairly well. It would be nice to have something that renewed the Rupture, so that's cool. Right, so that's a little bit of a look at those talent trees. Lots of emails. I'll try and read as many as possible over the coming days. I'll do some more tomorrow. Sounds good to me. And we're going to do some Cataclysm Q&A right after this break. Extended show, as you can pretty much tell, ladies and gentlemen. I can extend it more by playing some Opeth, but that would be a little silly, because it's going to take a very long time to get anywhere. So what shall I do in the meantime? Well, I can think of a few things. How about play some Machine Eye Supremacy? Return to Snake Mountain, ladies and gents. I'll be back after this. Enjoy.